Hi class, it's week 10. We made it. Yay! One more week for finals week and then we'll all be done. I had a couple of students stop by today in my office and ask me some questions about the project that you're working on this week, with the Wiki project for your issues project, and I got some good feedback from them, and I wanted to make a little video to show you some of the things we talked about today. So thank you, Claire and Sarah, for dropping by and helping me figure out what needs to be talked about. So you all have your own individual wiki pages to write your issues project up on. You've been put into groups. You have your outlines, so you have some major points already constructed. You got feedback from me. Now, what in the heck goes on this wiki page, right? Make sure the instructions are right here in this wiki grading rubric. So make sure you have this open and look at this lots and lots when you are making your wiki. So I took all of these pages that are necessary on your wiki and I put those into some code that you can cut and paste, and I'll show you that in a minute. But this tells you what you need to have on your introduction page. State the issue, what are the sides, and you can put images in here that help display your issue a little bit better. Make sure, though, that you're focusing on the basics of the issue. What is it that you're going to show the debate about on your wiki page? I think most of you had a pretty good neutral question on your outlines. If you didn't, I gave you some feedback. If you're still struggling with that, send me a message, and we can work around or work with some communication so we can figure out what your neutral question should be. On the biological support page, definitions are good here, illustrations or structures or processes. Make sure when you put a picture in, you copy and paste the URL that you got it from, so you can put down underneath the picture source and then paste the URL so we all know where you got that from. I'm going to be looking at your biological support page for things that are necessary to help people understand your issue. So if you're doing something on, for instance, I was just looking at a page on our humans mixtures with some Neanderthals in there as well. Make sure you define and include some pictures of what Neanderthals are and what Homo sapiens were at the time, and so people have a good image in their mind about what you're talking about there. So the debate is the bulk of this, and you have two or more pages, two or more informed sides, page for each side, where you're laying out the major points of your side. So main points are cited, scientific sources are in there, appropriate images to help illustrate the arguments, research-based, they disagree with each other, and you are balanced in that. You can argue against points that the other side has if you want to. That's a good way of making your argument as well. What are the weaknesses in the other side's points? You don't have to, as students, you don't have to just work on one side. Here's where you guys can combine your resources and you can work together to create these sides and this whole poster. So pull all your resources together, and if you find you've been working on one side but you find a good point for the other side, pop over to that page and put it on that page's site as well. Your conclusion statement, a decision is reached on, and remember this is a debate, this is an issue. You can be split, or you can do a combination of the two sides and say we don't think it's one or the other, but it's a combination of both. The why part is going to be the important part. Why did you come to that conclusion? You've been doing more research on this issue than anybody else, including me, so we want to know why you concluded what you did about that. And then on the references page, all references on the same list for all your pages that you've created, alphabetically listed, your choice on APA or MLA style on that. And then I'm going to be looking, of course, for grammar, spelling errors, things like that in your page. So that's worth some points on this as well. So make sure you have that rubric open. This is your directions, basically, for what you need to have on each page. There's a little how-to on creating multi-page wikis up here. That's a source from the YouTube. You can cut and paste. If you take a look at this, I gave you some code in here that is going to ensure you can have these multiple pages on your wiki once you click on your initial introduction wiki. So you're going to just simply copy and paste this language into your initial wiki page. So I was working with Sarah and Claire here on their physical attractiveness wiki. So if you go into edit mode, when you open up the introduction, yours is going to be blank. This is some of the things we filled in their introduction page. But when you go into the edit page, you can see here we just basically pasted that language, that cut and paste thing, right in here. How you link new pages to your introductory page or to any page is you do this double square bracket and then the name of the page and then double square brackets to close. And in fact, we found out today that we can do click save. Make sure that you always click save too, because I had to go back and restore some stuff today as I was showing them things. If you just hit preview, it doesn't always save and you may not have your work saved. So you can see the difference in here when this comes up as the view version, that these are the pages that we haven't worked on yet. They're in italics and they're kind of a slightly brighter red color than the one that we did work on. So I'm going to click on their biological support page. It takes me to a new page here where we just simply edited and put the word testing in there. And then I suggested to them that it was a good idea if they have a link on that page back to the introduction page. So we just put in square brackets, typed in the word of the name of the page, which was introduction, square brackets again, click save, and now when we're viewing this page, they can put in a bunch of information and pictures and stuff for biological support, and then either at the top or the bottom, or both, if you want it there, have a link to the next page that you want them to go to. Maybe you want them to go back to the introduction page. Maybe from biological support you want them to go to your first sides page, the first argument page. So put that, whatever you name that page, put that down in here in square brackets and it will show up. So introduction, we get to go back to this page here. You can fill in, you can change this name if you want to by going to edit, and I simply put side 1, but you can put anything you want to in these brackets in here, and that will be the name of the page. Just remember what you named the page. If you ever forget, you can go to map and it will show you what pages you have in alphabetical order, the page list, so you can see what pages you have here. Now, I've run into the instance where you can occasionally get what's called an orphaned page, where it's not linked anywhere. Send me a message if you get into that, if there's a message that you've got an orphaned page or there's something on here that you haven't linked to, because I have to do some things on the administrative side to fix that for you. So, editing and group work asynchronously online. If you go to the comments page, you can leave comments for other people on here that are working on the page. So as you add a comment, you can say, hey, Sarah, what about adding this to this page over here? And then she can get back and reply to you about that comment. That will not show up on the eventual page that everybody grades. That'll just be you being able to have this conversation back and forth within your group. And then when it comes time to grade, I have this button as an administrator as well, but you also have this called History. So if you go to History of a page, you can compare two different versions. So you can see that I have been editing this. I want to compare version 2 of this page to version 3. And when I click on this, up comes side-by-side comparison. Now, there was no changes between these two things that I saved, so nothing has come up as being different. But what happens is I will get a whole block of whatever the person added it's highlighted for me here, so I can see between different versions of pages who's added what. So this is how I can tell who in your group has done what work on the pages, including things that were deleted or things that were added. It gives me all that information in the history of it. It keeps that history. So that history button will be important for you as well. If you lose something and you want to go back and see what it looked like in an older version, you can hit history and say, I think it was back here that I added that. Let me compare these two. Compare selected, and it will come up and see here, for instance, this is what was added in version 2 that was different than what was in version 1. And you can usually go back and grab something and restore it in your editing. So that's how I'm going to do a little bit of checking for who contributed what to each wiki page. If you're having some problems with contact with people right now in your group, they're not really in touch or contributing, send them a message, let them know that you're noticing that. And if they haven't contributed anything at all, let me know, because they will need to do their own wiki page on their own topic, because they won't get credit for the work that the other people have done on that page. So let's go to edit, and when we're here on the edit button for the introduction page, there's this button that your page will usually come up and look like this, where you have a limited number of buttons up here to be able to add things in, including adding a picture. You can insert or edit an image. You can insert or edit media. You can insert or edit once you got some words highlighted, like click here. You can insert a URL. So paste the URL in there, and that will be now become a hot link to the whatever word you had highlighted. But you notice it's fairly limited, and editing is kind of bad. This is the magic button that I discovered. Whoa, look at all this new stuff that you can play around with down here, including symbols and tables and text color, for instance. You can choose all these different text colors and alignment, centered or to the right or to the left, and superscript, subscript. I was lost until I found that magic button and realized, there it is, that's what I wanted. Now I have all this other editing ability, including font size and font type and things like that. If you know a little bit about HTML, there's something that you want to go in and change, this button here lets you go straight to the HTML source, and this, if you know anything about coding, you can go in here and you can fiddle around with this. If you don't know anything about coding, don't worry, I've gotten along pretty well just playing around with these buttons within this box here on Moodle, and things turn out pretty good most of the time. Every once in a while I'm a little frustrated with something and I have to go into the HTML. Usually I end up looking around to see where did it work right, and copying and pasting code from there to the place that it wasn't working right on. Send me messages if things aren't working right. Again, it's going to be a little asynchronous. I will be in class a lot on Wednesday. That's my majors level class. And I'll be in class for sure 8 to 11 and 2 to 5. And I'll be back and able to check emails a little bit more in the middle of the day, as well as in the morning and after class is done. With your pictures, like I said, if you find a picture that you want to put in, so say you want to put a picture in, put your source in as well. Where did you get that picture from? So you can find or upload an image, choose a file. I will grab a file that I know from an images here, birds and dinosaurs. Open it up, upload this file. This will put in the image. You can play around with the size of the image if you want to. You can do it through this box and button here, or usually you get to make this page a little bit bigger. You can usually get little squares at the top and bottom of your image. I guess it's not going to let me do that here. So insert, a lot of times this button pops up and says you want alternative text. That's okay if we don't have it. Here's where the button is that you can do some resizing with. So you can resize an image once it's on your page here, so that it's bigger or smaller, whatever you want. So once you've got an image like that underneath there, what I want you to do is say source and then type in the URL of where you got that. Excuse me. So in the interest of learning not to plagiarize, I am doing that with all the images that I grab from web pages when I put them in a presentation or when I put them on a website like Moodle, so that people know where I got that image from. It wasn't something that I created myself. So this one, for instance, is from the comic XKCD, if you are familiar with that. It's a really science nerdy comic. So images, biology background I got. Cite your references like you did within your outlines. So when you go to your sides wiki pages, we know where you got your main arguments for. I would say shoot for 6 to 10 major arguments for each side. They don't have to be in bullet points. They can be more in like text, separated by spaces on your page. Just make it easy so people can look and see quickly what your major arguments are. You can put them in a numbered list if you want to. And then put your references for that on there. You can do like you would do within a regular paper, where you put the parentheses, the author's last name, and the date, close parenthesis, and that we know will be on your reference list on the reference page for your wiki. So you don't have to put the full reference on your sides page if you don't want to. So send me questions. That should be about it for making the wiki. Oh, I did want to go back to, and we're going to cancel out of this so they don't get that funny cartoon on their wiki page and wonder what happened. The review process. So your rough draft of your wiki is due this Friday, and some of you have already signed up for who you want to review. So make sure that you have, before you go doing a review, you're going to use the grading rubric here. Oops, sorry, I'm on the wrong spot. Down at the bottom is the peer review stuff. So peer review assignment, this is where you turn in your peer review assignment once you get it done. You're going to take this peer review rubric, which is the one that you have open while you're building the wiki. You're going to use this to grade somebody else's poster. So go through this with them, with their wiki open. How well did they do their introduction page? How well is their biological support page? Debate pages, what's the score that you would give them on that? Their conclusion, their references page, overall, did you catch any spelling and grammars? So grammar problems. So what total points out of 50 would you give them, so you can see the point totals across the top here for the different categories of completion. And then feedback for the final wiki for improvement and overall comments. This is due Sunday night from you. I'm going to look over your grades for other people's wikis, and I'm going to grade you on your grading ability and your ability to give good comments and feedback for them. And make sure, before you start your peer review, make sure you go to this tracking wiki and sign yourself up for one of the spots on these other wikis. So for instance, Ryan has signed up to do a review on the Human Migration to the New World wiki. Unfortunately, all the physical attraction, evolved or learned behavior spots have been taken up by early arrivers here. So sign yourself up for a spot other than your own wiki. Can't review your own. And that way we know that we've got complete coverage. There's some here that obviously don't have any reviewers yet, so those people will need reviewers for their wikis. Final wiki, I'm not going to grade these until after Thursday, finals week, 5 p.m. If you have questions, send them to me. I can help you out there, but I guarantee you I won't get to grading them until Thursday at 5. I will, at that point, lock them all down so you can't go back and do any editing after that point. So everything must be done by Thursday at 5 p.m. Okay, send me questions and let me know when you have trouble with these things. Thanks, and I'll hopefully talk to you soon.